Hey, Ledoux crew. I'm here with Rodrigo Soto from Farm Mountain. So happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. Hey, little crew. Rodrigo Soto from Far Mountain, founder and winemaker.
Awesome. So, Rodrigo, you have made wine across some of the most iconic regions: Chile, Burgundy, California. What brought you to the wild edges of Sonoma?
Well, I think that early in my career, I was very lucky to work with a person that influenced my farming style in many different ways. His name is Pedro Parra, and Pedro is, I will say, a very special person in my career because he pointed me in a direction that I never expected, which was to explore the underground in a way that connects connects the rock, the parental material with the farming and the winemaking. That together with biodynamic farming techniques, which has been what I have done all my life, all my career, it makes a lot of sense. And believe it or not, Pedro and the other person that influenced me very much into my farming was Alan York. They both speak a very similar language without and they were specialists on their different areas, but definitely both of them have that sensitivity towards the places. So when I started Farm Mountain, I was looking at places, obviously, with rock. And what a better place than going to the mountains, to the Sonoma side of the Maya Coast.
That is so cool. Okay, so your Chardonnay comes from Sonoma Valley, and your Cabernet Sauvignon is grown in the Mountain District.
Correct.
So, how do these different terroirs contribute to the style and character of the wines you're crafting?
Right. So actually, there's a technicism with the Chardonnay because it comes from a high elevation right off the appellation of Moon Mountain. So they share the same elevation. Actually, the Chardonnay comes from 1,800 feet in the mountain. So for the area, that's one of the highest points. And the other thing that is very, I will say, interesting about this place is that it's a vineyard planted in 1972 and it's a dry farm Chardonnay. So you get a lot of that character and minerality from the mountain because those plants are so well adapted to their place. Our Cabernet Sauvignon comes from the southern end of the Moon Mountain district. So they share, as I said, the elevation with the Chardonnay, but from a very different part of the mountain, which is an old terrace, contemporary in age to the vineyard that I described as Chardonnay. This is a 1972 old terrace field selection of Cabernet planted on St. George rootstock and dry farm as well. So you get a lot of authentic flavors, and I think that's what makes this wine distinct and special, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Okay, so the question we're all asking these days, the age of climate change.
Yeah.
How are you seeing these sites adapt? And also as a winemaker, how do you feel you're adapting?
Yeah, no, that's fundamental. And adapting or adaptation, it's a word that we're not utilizing enough. I think we like to use words like resilience or regenerative or words that like that are sounds very right at this time or era in history. But obviously, we tend to talk about climate change in a way that a little disconnected, in my opinion. We tend to talk about this curves that are going up in temperature, these averages that we are seeing going climbing up in the ladder, and things like that. We don't speak enough about the capacity of plants to adapt. And I think when you work with old vines, you can see that those vines can read the signals very, very clearly, and they adapt to the changes in a way that it feels very evident to me. Now, what can we do to help them do that? I think that many of the farming techniques are related to try to improve your organic matter, get a better holding capacity in terms of of water during the rainfall time of the year and elements like that. But at the end, the plants are the ones that are going to dictate. For that, they need age and they need to have that experience with the site and that adaptation that we're talking about.
Gosh, that's a really beautiful and original take.
Well, I think that it feels like that because obviously many times you hear people talking about changing varieties, and I consider that a shortcut. It's doing everything the same, but choosing varieties that are quote unquote better adapted to that moment in time. How about we changing our farming techniques so that we can keep what we have and help them adapt or help them adapt, or at the very end, plants are going to tell us what they need. Right. If we're sensitive enough to read that language. If we're not, and we continue doing the same, I think that that's a dead end road.
Nature's in charge. Yeah. Rodrigo, I love it.
It is in charge, as you know. And I think that the farming, the place, the reading that you have of those locations, it's fundamental.
Wow. I love it. Okay, Rodrigo. So say this is somebody's first time opening a bottle of your wine. What would you want them to get from the wine in the sense of how would you want them to feel?
Yeah, I really like that question because you make me think quite a bit on that answer. I think that the best thing that my the best case scenario for me to help that first taster to have a brief trip to where these vines grow and to see or feel that place. I think that authenticity, transparency, all those elements that are part of our farming and winemaking, it's part of what I try to reflect with the wines. So if they show a little bit of edginess or acidity or minerality, that's exactly the purpose of the wine, so that you can taste that original flavors from the mountain of that part of the world.
Oh, amazing. I love it. Rodrigo, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.